he was making these free visualizer packs. So you could go on his website, like beeplecrap.stuff or whatever, his website, and you could download these free like visual loops, and they're like amazing, like Cinema 4D Octane rendered VJ loops. And he would give you free creative control to use them however you liked. So some of my earliest performances live in like bars and clubs, I was just filling a flash drive like full of these free VJ loops, and I would like give them to the front of the house and be like, if you're gonna project something, just like run any assortment of these visual loops, like behind me on the screen. But like over time, I followed people like for over a decade, and then I think it was like in March of 2021, I saw him tweet at another artist in the space about like what is this NFT thing, and then yeah, I kind of like observed like him make an entrance into the space, and then I kind of just started to think like, how will this stuff uh, uh, affect being a musician? Like, how can I utilize and like non-fungible tokens like as a musician, as a visual artist myself for my own art? I'm not like on people's level by any means, but I saw like an artist that I had like really been inspired by, had been able to utilize some of his free assets. I like saw him getting into it, and I was like, well, this is something I should maybe look into and like kind of like take a whack at. So um yeah, it's like a combination of those things. It's like, being tired of having some of my favorite work being tied up with middlemen and contracts, being wanting to have sovereignty over my art and like sovereignty over like my creative output, and like having more of that creative control. Being on the forefront of like Web3 and like experimenting with like cutting edge technology. I think blockchain is that, for creatives right now. And then yeah, like seeing an artist that I really admired for all these years, like kind of take a leap into it and being like, okay, what will this mean to me as a musician? Like, how will this evolve music? And like wanting to have a say in that. And then like the metaverse, that came later down the line, like in the Web3 space for me. And that's something that we can dig into like as well. But yeah, those are just some of the things that like brought me to this space. And of course, like there's like huge money making opportunities here and things like that. But for some people, like that, it's not like an overnight thing. It's I'm so focused on like building community. This is why like I host spaces 3 times a week. Like I really like I tell my friends like I want to meet every single person that follows me. Like I literally want to talk to like every person that follows me in this space and like get to know them like through Twitter Spaces and like and just like have that social camaraderie together, and like big sales and huge sold out collections will come down the line. I've never sold out a collection. It's like, and that's not really my goal. My goal really is to like connect with people, be on the forefront of like where the internet and tech is going, and just like encapsulate that into everything I've already been building for 10 years. And it's wild that, of 10 years of doing stuff in Web 2, it was like sometimes I felt like I was like bashing my head against the wall, like, something's got to give here. And then when like I found Web3, it was like, like an open format to creativity where I can finally blend like the AR and the visual and the music. It's like this gave me like a canvas. Blockchain gave me like a creative canvas to like blend everything I do into like one cohesive creativity. And like, the art for me is no longer like music. Like the art is actually the combination of all of these things. Like my art form is not just music. It's like bringing in the visual art, bringing in the metaverse, and like bringing in the music. Like that whole like bubble there, like that is now the art to me. It's like how I combine all these things. That is the art form now. And like that is what really excites me about Web3, is like being able to take it just beyond music and like really build a universe and build a world around like what it means to be Shark. And I just can't think of a better place to do that. Like Web3 really has like everything I need as far as like a tech stack goes. And also people that are interested in like diving into this type of art with me. Like we're in a room right now full of people who see the potential and the fun and the excitement and the community aspects of Web3. Like this is where I want to bring that like complete package of my creativity. If I were to do this in Web2, it might go over people's heads, but in Web3 people are really in tune with like innovation and like disruption and like wanting to be a part of that with the artist. So like these are some of the things that just like really excite me about being in Web3, and that's really why I'm here and why I'm not leaving. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm not leaving. Yeah.
I I can tell like exactly how passionate you are about it. Like, and I've heard you speak many times on your Twitter Spaces that you host, and I like those Twitter Spaces because it's actually like somewhere for me to go when I'm like done for the day, winding down, smoking my blunt, and like I come in and listen to whatever ridiculousness is going on, and then you're like trying to kind of like be like, all right guys, like let's bring it back to the topic, AI and music. It's definitely like a good place to be. Like I can I see that the community of sea creatures that you're forming. I'm gonna pass it over. I think Meta DJ had his hand up first, and then I'll pass it over to OX Quan.
It actually was Quan, but we both put our hands down. But out of respect for Quan, if you're here, do you wanna ask your question?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yo, shout out Sin, man. Thank you for bringing me up. Shout out Shark, my boy. Love what you're saying, bro. Love it, man. We were in a spaces a few days ago, I think, together, and we were talking about kind of like the difference between what chain an artist should use or whether they should have it on multiple chains. I just want to know like your perspective on that. Like, what do you think, like, as an artist, like as a music NFT artist or just an artist in general, what do you think about an artist putting their work on multiple chains?
So I am a fan of it. I think now I'm on four different blockchains and put in like target. I don't suggest that for every artist. When you introduce a new blockchain, that's a new community to connect with. That's a new vibe. You want to like get a feel for and understand. But I think I had heard very early on in this space, and this might not be the best example to kind of explain what I'm trying to say here, but in like the traditional music market, like if we go back to like the 90s through like the early 2000s, when you would press like your CD, like your record, you would get that put in like Target, you get that put in Walmart, you get that put in Best Buy, you get that put in Circuit City, and you would have units of your creativity of your record in these different storefronts. And that's kind of how, like, when I first came into space, I kind of saw the blockchain where it was like these are just different kind of like interfaces and different communities, different networks, different quote unquote like storefronts where I could like share what I'm doing as an artist. So I think like if we want to meet like as many fans and supporters and like-minded people as we can in this space in particular, then I think as artists we actually owe it to ourselves to go and venture off to like different networks. Like if you started on ETH, like take a look at Solana, take a look at Tezos, take a look at Matic, like see what this space has to offer, because you never know, like you could be like butting your head against the wall on ETH and you're not landing, you're not finding the right people that like really speak to your values as an artist, you're not finding like that right quote unquote the collector base or the supporters. But like maybe if you did a drop on Polygon, like who knows, like maybe like that community really resonates with what you're doing. So I think we do owe it to ourselves to spread our wings a little bit and like see what's out there. But I also will say, don't spread yourself too thin. Like I meet people that are like, oh, I'm on 7, 8 blockchains. I don't know how they do that. I would get way overwhelmed. So I think like, yeah, like spread your wings a little bit, see what this space has to offer, but also don't spread yourself so thin to where like you don't know like where like you know everybody everywhere, so you actually don't know anybody at all. And like that's something that I said about the metaverse like very like a year ago, where I was like playing in like I think I've played in like 5 or 6 metaverse platforms by now, and like I had this issue where I was like I knew like everybody everywhere, but I didn't know anybody really. Like I didn't really wasn't like connecting with people. I like people knew me in On Cyber, they knew me in Voxels, they knew me in Decentral, they knew me in Spatial, they knew me in Hubs, but like I didn't feel like I was actually getting to know anybody. And it was like kind of when I narrowed that down to like let me focus on like Spatial and like Decentraland. Like that's where I started to like connect with people on like a more personal level. So like I think in that example, maybe that can translate to like your question about like being multi-chain. Maybe like look at it like that. Like when you spread yourself, when you cast such a wide net, it might be hard to like really connect personally with that community. But when you kind of like narrow the scope a little bit, then you have more time to like get to know the community, get to know the regulars on the network, and like actually build like tight friendships and a tight collector base and supporters, like fans, whatever you want to call them, your community. So yeah, those are some thoughts I have on that, and I appreciate the question, bro. Great to hear your voice, man, because you tune into like all the night swims, and you rarely come up to speak. But dude, I wish you would come up and speak more often. So please grab the mic more often, my friend.
100, bro. Love, mad love. Appreciate you answering my question, dog.
Of course. Thank you for asking.
And now I'll just want to do a few shout outs, everyone. Make sure to like and retweet the room. And I do see Blease, Colorful K in the house, Daybed, Canessa. I do see a few new friends as well down in the listeners. If you would like to ask Shark any questions, just feel free to pick up the mic. And Shark, my Twitter space is a little buggy, so you'll have to accept them when you when you see them.
I
You
got
take
you.
over. Man,
No
making
problem.
you co-host of today's space was the best decision ever made.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about hosting, so I'm down to help, man.
And so I'll pass it over to Meta DJ. I did see your hand come up like when during the last answer.
Yeah, so I have a question, and it's one I've been pondering over recently too, which is when you first entered the metaverse and started getting your feet wet, what surprised you the most?
Very interesting question. So the first metaverse that I ever experimented with was called Hubs by Mozilla. And what I had done was at the time I was like getting ready to release a long format audio experience, and I wanted to like evolve on the idea of a listening party. So like, predominantly like when I would drop a record or like drop a new song or like a project, I would send that to like my close circle of influence. Maybe we'd like sit in Discord together and just like jam it, and like I'd pick their brain about like what they thought. But when I found the metaverse, I think what really caught me off guard was just like the flexibility and like making the build and like truly making it like my customized like home away from home on the internet. I kind of saw it as like a 3D website, a 3D evolution of like what I was doing in Discord. So I think what caught me off guard was just how flexible the idea, the ability to like build custom environments and really fine tune the look of the locale to kind of speak to like my vibe and like my design aesthetic. And like, what started in hubs then evolved into crypto voxels, then I evolved that into DCL and evolved that into spatial. So I think what always keeps me coming back to the metaverse is just like the customization and the ability to like really like create what you imagine. Like, I have a song Into the Metaverse where I kind of like speak on that. Like really whatever you imagine in your mind, if you put those thoughts into action, like through Blender or getting with the right builder or even digging into these things yourself, you can really build that thing in your imagination. You can build that place in the metaverse. And I think that's just bars above having a Discord server or having a website or having like a SoundCloud page. It just was like a way more intentional approach to like building a social space. And that first listening party, I'll like never forget it. I still have photos of it, and it's like so crazy looking back on those photos, because even how much the metaverse has evolved since then is like mind blowing. Like how much better it's gotten over time, and like how much easier it is to create what I want in these spaces. It's just become so much more streamlined. So I guess what caught me off guard was just how much freedom I had to like make that world that really speaks to like what I want it to look like and what I think like a Shark locale would look like. I think like having those tools at my fingertips was like super exciting, and it also it like lends itself to like what I have been doing. And like I'm like I don't play games anymore, but I was like a very hardcore gamer, and I found like a lot of the games that I liked were the games where like you built your hut, you built your house, you invited your friends to your server, you were like harvesting materials, like building your virtual city. Like I love those like builder type of games. Like I grew up making like Halo Forge maps. Like I remember like in Halo 3 I was like making custom maps with friends, like running custom game nights. So like all of that stuff started to like pop out to me in my brain, like, oh wow, like this is really reminiscent of like what I was doing and like some of the video games I played growing up. So all of this stuff together was just super exciting, and like so it definitely caught me off guard when I first like dug in.
I love everything you're saying, Shark. Man, we've already had like a couple of opportunities or I've gotten a couple opportunities to interview you a little bit and ask you some questions, pick your brain. But I guess since we've hit the hour, I guess I can ask you a couple more questions, a couple of them Shark related, and and maybe we can start to wind down. Okay,
Totally down. Totally down.
question
Yeah.
number one: can sharks see color? can they see in color?
I don't know if I know, like biologically speaking, I don't know if I have the answer to that one. I can see in color, although you may notice this, I like the way that I look personally, like in black and white. I just always love the way I look in black and white. I don't know why. I think I like Chat GPT. This one's like, why do I like the way I look in black and white more than in color? But I think sharks can see in color. But I actually like things. I like to see things in black and white. Actually, it's like kind of nostalgic, and yeah, it hits different to me. I think even today, like my GM post was like a picture of me in black and white. I just like love the way that like feels for some reason, especially with like where we are in the metaverse. Everything in the metaverse is so vibrant and like has glow and like like it's just so colorful. It's like cool to have that contrast of like even for my mental health action set, like that I did that in black and white. I set my color correction to black and white because to me it was like not trolling, but it was like kind of like a cool contrast to where like you would expect me to have like this super colorful, vibrant thing, but I was like, no, let me like do the complete opposite. Let me go like a black and white and like put that in the metaverse for a change. So like I'm all about like that contrast and like bringing that kind of design mind into the process, but I guess it's a long-winded way of saying that. Yeah, sharks see in color, but sometimes I want to see in black and white. So,
biologically speaking, I guess the answer is no. They do not see in color. But your answer was just perfect because of the fact that you like had mentioned that you like your pictures in black and white. You like your photography in black and white. So that might be due to your shark instincts there. You are like a land mako shark after all.
Yeah, I'm a land shark. I think there's a beer named that as well. I don't drink beer, but we have a beverage. So there is a land shark beverage out there. But yeah,
okay.
Half man, half shark for sure.
Okay, shark question number 2. Do sharks have eyelids?
I believe they do. I think they do.
Yes, they do, but they don't blink.
Yeah, we have very lifeless eyes. Sharks have very lifeless eyes. Yeah, it's very scary.
Okay, so this one I'm gonna turn into a Web3 question. It's a shark question, but in Web3 format. The shark question goes: from what distance can sharks detect blood? My Web3 version of it will be: from what distance does a Shark Anthony detect bullshit?
I can see it from miles away. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm a very tough critic of the Web3 space. I'm not shy to speak my mind on the things. It's weird. I've kind of become like a social commentator on the state of Web3. I like to think that if there's a culture in Web3, I'm definitely trying to be on like the counterculture side of that. Huge fan of sub communities and counterculture in general. So yeah, I can smell and see the bullshit from miles away, and I'm not afraid to speak on it when I do see it. This leads to sometimes finding myself in sticky situations, but at the end of the day, I am speaking my mind, and I think the people that have gravitated towards me, they like that about me, and I'm really just like saying what I think and feel about the space when I do pick up on things that I do or don't like. So yeah, there's definitely blood in the water, and I'm picking up on it all the time.
Here's another correct answer, because sharks detect blood from 5 kilometers away. So I'm thinking the Shark Anthony senses are just about that, or maybe more.
Maybe more. And also, I think shark, like, it's funny that when I got into the space, I didn't realize that like shark had like a negative like in finance, like a shark is like kind of like it's like a negative like to be like a shark in like the finance world is like a kind of like a negative thing. But I'm a nice shark, I may speak my mind on things, but I think the people that know me well like no, it comes from a good place, and it comes from a place of honesty, and yeah, I don't bite even though I'm shark. I promise I don't bite, and I'm very easy to approach and talk to. And if you ever come to one of my spaces, like you definitely will pick up on that. So, yeah, 100%.
Totally. So yeah, I mean, okay, we've gone over the hour. Don't mean to kind of take up your valuable time
No, we
tonight.
can keep going. I have time. It's up to you. It's up to you.
I mean, let's see. Any questions from our speakers or listeners? Would anyone like to come up and ask any questions? If not, I mean, at least for myself, I probably only have like a couple more questions, a few more questions for you. All
I'm
right, all right.
done. And Juliana has her hand up as well.
Oh, okay,
Or Juliana,
sweet. Thank
sorry.
God you're here because I can't see that. Go ahead, Juliana.
Oh yeah, yeah. Go
Have
ahead.
you thought about when we're using AI when it comes to performances, like the idea of that you're performing and then the AI picks up on the emotions you're trying to convey and then I don't know, expresses something or makes something visualize something that kind of like goes with the what you're trying to express. That sounds like that would be cool.
If I could get my hands on some sort of ad that could do that in real time, like I would love to play with that. But this is a cool segue into like something that I am working on behind the scenes, which is, you know, primarily in the metaverse. When I go live, it's like I'm going live with OBS. I'm like doing a performance in front of my webcam. But like what I'm trying to evolve also in the metaverse space is actually making like super intentional audio visual experiences. So they it's a mixture of like pre-recorded stuff with AI, with video art, with augmented reality, but it's like a full encompassed like hour that you can only see in the metaverse. So like, yes, this could be a video that's on my YouTube channel, but the type of like mixed media experience that like you have to be in world to see, like you will not see it anywhere else. And like these types of experiences that I'm working on behind the scenes, I am incorporating like AI video art, footage with augmented shot that I've shot with augmented reality, and then like combining that with like me actually performing in front of like my usual setup. So I've never done anything like that live before. I would love to like know if that tech is out there where I could have like AI generating stuff live while I'm performing, like simultaneously, that like goes with my lyrics. But making a more curated experience with these tools is like something that I'm exploring right now. And like I said, to like I kind of want to like get to a point where I'm like making these like IMAX type of like experiences where like you just gotta come see it in Decentraland. You won't see it on my YouTube channel. You won't see a clip of it on Twitter unless someone like uploads a little clip of the performance or of the audio visual experience. So for those types of things, I'm definitely experimenting with AI and like having it, match the song that's playing and things like that. But as far as it being live and in real time, haven't done anything like that yet. But I'm not opposed. I would love to learn more about that. And as like that those tools come out, I definitely will be on the in the know and like trying them out myself. So
Yeah,
great idea, great question.
an idea. Yeah, we'll see. It probably will happen.
Julianne, do you have some alpha we don't?
No, but with the way things are going, oh, I guess
Hmm.
there's I think someone has talked about, maybe it was like that Ken Grainville guy, that something about you talk and then something just generates. So I think he's doing something that's called Mindaptive. So maybe a good idea to look into that to see what he's up to with that. Maybe that could somehow be like part of that. So yeah, he's on Twitter.
Hmm. Yeah, you
Definitely,
have
definitely send me. I don't know why I put the crying face. I'll do it again just for fun. Um, Definitely send me this person's Twitter account. I would love to like follow them and like see more of what they're doing.
Yeah, sure.
and yeah, you have a point. As like the technology progresses, like it feels like like since January 2023, like AI applications and technologies, everything features have just like skyrocketed. It seems like every day I wake up and there's a new AI feature that's like, do you want to start a business? Here, download this AI and it'll do everything for you. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Dude,
So,
it's great. Especially with AI, and you're right, like how quick it's changing. It's changing so fast that I've been working on like AI video art behind the scenes that like like now that style of AI video is like obsolete. Like there's better stuff that's like come out since I started making this body of work. So it's almost like my creativity cannot keep up with like how quickly this stuff is evolving. Where like I find myself making something behind the scenes and I'm like, well shit, like if I rendered this now with the AI models that are out now, it would look way cooler, but I've already dumped in these like hundreds of hours into this thing. So it's one of the experiences that I'm working on. I don't even want to say the name of it yet. The name of it is so good, but I just don't want to say the name of it yet. That's one of the speed bumps I'm having where it's like I make like headway in this, and then it's like, oh, new AI tool came up. A better model of Midjourney comes up. Oh, like a better AI voice synthesis thing comes up. It's like as the tech evolves, I like find myself pushing back my idea more to like incorporate these newer tools that are popping up. And I think that's just one of the growing pains of like being a new media artist. Like if you're gonna be on the cutting edge, you really got to stay on the cutting edge and like keep exploring these new tools that pop up, and like while also, not getting completely like thrown off course and like thrown off from like what your vision is. So it's like that's been a whole balance in and of itself, just based on how fast AI is evolving and how like new and fresh some of these new products are coming out. Like there's something that we're working with right now called I think it's called Wonder Dynamics Studio. Maybe you guys have heard of it. You can shoot like a piece of film with like a subject like me in frame, and then you can actually swap out my body for like a 3D model asset without having to use a mocap suit. It's just strictly going off of the film that was shot. And we're gonna have something coming out soon. I think it's like the week of like June 5th. I think we're gonna have something come up on the timeline like of us like kind of demoing this like new thing in AI video that's like coming out. So yeah, you'll see that on my timeline. But yeah, I'm trying to constantly just like play with this stuff, and then if it's something that I can't learn, it's like aligning with someone in my community that's like, if I know they're staying on the cutting edge of it, then I can like bring them into the fold and like brainstorm with them and be like, how can I help you, and like how can I provide you with sounds to like build on this, or like how can we link up and like actually shoot some original content so you can play with that further in AI and like kind of collaborate that way. So I think like AI is opening like new collaboration opportunities, not just me collaborating with AI, but me collaborating with friends of mine that are also staying on the cutting edge of AI, and like, they're willing to dig into the new tools and work with me to like bring things to life with them. So yeah, it's evolving really fast, and that's crazy because anything you see with AI, this is the worst it's ever going to look. Like even these AI voice things, this is the worst it's ever going to sound, and it already sounds really good. It already looks really awesome. So when we have this conversation a year from now, my mind's going to be blown by how far like the tech has evolved and how cool the product offerings have become like for people building with AI. So a little bit of a growing pain there, but there is a lot on the horizon, and it's just fun to experiment with. Anything new that pops up, I'm definitely trying to dig into.
Dude, a year from now, freaking, there's gonna be AI navigating like everyone's car. Like, doesn't matter if you have an electric vehicle. You're just gonna have an AI, and they're being like, "Hey, motherfucker, you're too close to the dude in front of you. Slow down."
Dude, what about like AI wearable creation? Like, imagine like if Decentraland, puts money behind like developing an AI where you could like kind of prompt like fashion design, like prompt the actual like 3D object of like the metaverse wearable that you want to design. I mean, this might put a dent in like, artists hiring people that are made to like build and design these wearables, but it could also open up a whole new type of collaboration where like I could AI prompt like the designs I want, then link up with a 3D builder and be like, hey, these are some like mock-ups I made with AI. How can we bring them to life using your skill set in Blender and like make these AI designs actually something that you can wear? I know we've already seen this in the metaverse where people are utilizing AI for fashion. So like that's something that I have yet to explore. Is like AI in fashion, but I know we've seen it happen, and it's continuing to happen. But it would be crazy to see like a text to 3D model wearable generator thing. Like I'm sure that's on the horizon, and someone's building that, and I can't wait to use things like that. So there's just so many ways it can go.
I feel like something like that is on the horizon. Like once again, since January, every single day there's like more and more talk about AI, and it's like the more you hear about like the possibility of AI being able to generate a GLB asset. And as far as like, how it may be with like with the current market of creators, I don't I mean, shit. It's a tough thing to say, but in reality, it's like life is about adapting to change. And, it may just be like a shift for these creators to adopt new technology. Who knows? Maybe there'll be like a way to integrate both the artists, the 3D modelers' talents with the technology and make it that much better, opposed to like, just someone coming in, turning on the AI and just like that has never made a 3D file before, doesn't know like limitations or, just rules, processes. So, hey, just a thought.
I really see. I don't see AI as like it. I don't see it like replacing artists entirely. And like some people do have that fear where it's like, oh, like I'm a lifelong painter. Now this thing can like shit out a painting in seconds. It's like better than anything I've painted. Um, but I really look at AI as just like a tool that like goes into my tool belt. Like if I look at what I do as like I always joke about this with my friends too, like being like the Swiss Army knife of creativity. Like when you open up a Swiss Army knife, there's so many little gadgets that have so much utility in it. It's like AI is just like another thing I can flip up on like that Swiss Army knife, and it's like up to me to like bring that into the fold as I wish. And I have friends that are like very turned off to AI that just don't like it. They'll basically like FUD it and kind of like shit on it, and that's fine. Like if that's your take on it, I totally understand like the fear of it and kind of how intimidating it might be like to see that come into the fold and just disrupt the idea of creativity in general. But um for me with AI, like I just love still running my like human hands through it. Like if I'm gonna prompt something, I love to like still do post processing or like mask out things and like blend and like combine it. One of my favorite things with AI right now is the blend feature in Midjourney. In Midjourney, you can prompt something, press enter, and it spits it out. But they have a thing called blend, where I can give it two photographs that I've taken, and then it'll create AI art by blending those two photos together. And to me, I've been having so much fun with that, like digging into my camera roll of stuff I was shooting in like 2018 that I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. But like now with AI, I can like feed these two images together, and like now AI is like reinterpreting that photo I took like years ago. So like these types of things excite me with AI, like just bringing it into like the human aspects of what I already do and not letting it become like the sole driver of my creativity. Just like have it slot into like everything else I'm doing. And some of the content I'm making right now behind the scenes, like I'm really going to show that where, the content is now combining music, me filming myself performing the song, augmented reality, and AI. And all of that is like in one encompassed like piece of art. And it's like, that's where I want to like see AI go for me, at least, where it's like, it's filling in those blanks and like my creative process that like I just didn't have something to slot into that spot yet. Like AI has become that for me. And I think also outside of art, right? Outside of the visual aspects of AI or the audio AI stuff that I do, just utilizing ChatGPT. I have friends that are even in this chat right now who've been using ChatGPT to help them write code, to help like evolve their website, to help make like how they present their art just way more refined and sharper. So like AI is not always just like the visual aspects. It can be the behind the scenes stuff, like how you code your website, how you make that like AR viewer like on your landing page and things like that. So like AI can help so many artists in so many different little ways. It's just a matter of like bringing it into your existing toolkit, into your existing creative skill set, and not letting it like dominate or like replace any of those things. Have it fit in to everything else that you've been like learning and mastering over all these years as artists. So like that's kind of how I see AI like working into my own creativity. It's like it's never gonna take over anything for me. It's just gonna like fill in those gaps where I need it, and like I'm always gonna run my hands through it and like run my human mind through what I do with AI. I look at it as more of like a collaborative thing and not so much of like a giving it all of the control to like make everything for me. But it's different for everybody. There's artists that are just like strictly AI and that's their thing that they do. But I love combining it with other things that I'm doing in the space.
Yeah, totally. And to like, that create the creator you quoted that's like, oh, I've been painting for 15 years, but AI can shit out whatever, something better than I did in 2 minutes. But the thing is that like it's art is one of those things that is like a by person scenario where like, someone like myself, I appreciate the flaws, the human flaws within the art. Like whenever I see like someone that just did like a full blown like AI picture that they did not post process, excuse me. You can kind of tell and you're like, "Wow, this looks amazing," but I'm unimpressed. So and so
Totally.
then yeah, and so then like kind of like with an artist that's been painting, like it may have its flaws, but some of those flaws is what makes it beautiful. And now to be able to like yourself combine the two and use AI as a tool, that is definitely like the way to go along with it, and also like um push push AI forward, teach it, and also, you know, um, make make your work a lot better than it currently is.
A-
Go ahead.
And the thing too, I'll say is like, AI in a way also some negative things about AI. It's kind of like desensitized the creative process. Like back in the day when I would make a song and I would link up with a photographer for a photo shoot and like we'd set up this whole day to go shoot photos for the song. I had to land on like one of those images that I wanted to use as the album cover. And even though there was nuances of it that I wish were different or like weren't the way that they were, I still rolled with it. I still like trusted in like what we had made together because we spent time to like set up that photo shoot. We spent time to like select our favorite photo. We spent time to color correct it and like frame it how we wanted, and like that's what we landed on for the art. But with AI, since you know that you can always just generate another one, you can always just prompt another one, you actually start to become like less satisfied with what you're making because you know in your mind I can just keep prompting and prompting and prompting till I get it right. And then you'll start to get in like this feedback loop where you're actually not making anything. You're just getting lost and like making a new thing, a new piece of AI art because you're not hitting that point of satisfaction because you know that you can just always, press imagine again and just press enter again. And so it's like keeping that in mind while understanding that like there is like a labor of love in creativity. It's like finding that sweet spot of like using AI, but not letting it like take full control and not letting it like desensitize the creative process and like actually have it be something that like you spend a lot of time with, you've put a lot of hours into, you're really invested in it. Like even if there's nuances of it that you don't necessarily like land on, like you're gonna roll with it because like you put so much into that and like there was so much labor like of love put into that actual piece. And it's just something that I've had to keep in mind because this has happened to me. Like this has happened to me in the last 5 months where I just was never satisfied because I just knew I could always make another one. And like, I have to think that other artists have maybe felt that same way where AI has just given us so much creative control and creative freedom that like it's hard to land on any one thing we make because we know we can just keep making more. But when you put a lot of time into something, you're just so invested that like it's gonna come out and you are gonna come to that final choice of like what iteration of that photo or that photo shoot or that graphic design you're working on with your friend. Like you're gonna hit that point where like this has got to come out and like we put so much into it. So it's finding that sweet spot can be really tough, and that's something that I've had to actually like come to terms with over the last 5 months for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I love everything you're saying. I'm gonna segue over to my next question and possibly even start to wind down. I'm starting to get a little hungry here.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
go
what do
for it.
what do
Yeah,
lionfish eat? Anyway,
I don't
um,
know. I don't know
I
actually.
I would think like shrimp and shit.
Yeah, probably shrimp. Maybe like I don't want to say like barnacles or like plankton. Maybe I don't know. Like
Of course, of course.
could be. Yeah, yeah. I want to say like plankton, but yeah, I can't really say. They definitely don't eat lions, even though they are lionfish. But
They
um,
don't need other lionfish. What could you tell us about Remora Labs, your friend down in the listeners?
Yeah, Remora Labs is my venue in Spatial. It's like an underwater locale. Like if you go visit it, we have like a cool underwater like coral reef skybox. There's like 3D fish swimming around outside the windows, and that's one of the primary places that like I'll perform or like do my own events or organize my own events inside of the Spatial metaverse. But I do want to also say that Remora Labs is not exclusive to Spatial. So like we've been thinking and talking about like doing events in Decentraland under the Remora Labs banner. We've done stuff like in Crypto Voxels. I have a build in Proto World, which is like an evolving metaverse on Tezos. So Remora Labs is like my metaverse like virtual design house entity, which primarily right now has been in Spatial, but like has like I have plans to like expand it into into other metaverses and other platforms. So for now it's my build in Spatial, but I would love to see it evolve into like having a build into Decentraland or partnering up with an existing build and maybe injecting that like underwater aesthetic into the build for like a one-off show or like a weekend event, or maybe even like for the month we like take over this build and like it's like very underwater themes. Like there's just so many ideas there, but it's just kind of like the main like design hub for like what I'm doing in the metaverse. And also it's become a cool way for me to also experiment with branding and marketing using AI. Like if you look at the pinned tweet on Remora Labs, that is an AI piece of art that has AI animation on it and then has an AI voiceover, and all of this kind of like presents to you like what Remora Labs is, kind of like in like a video mission statement of sorts. So Remora not only is like my metaverse locale, but it's one of the places where I also get to experiment with like marketing and branding utilizing AI. And then in this case, like driving interest to like what we're doing in the metaverse. We don't do as many shows as we would like. Like I'm really like the sole person behind Remora Labs right now, but I've been working with two people behind the scenes to kind of like take it up a notch so we can do way more in there. And even now, I'm like gearing up. This week, the gallery is going to have an update with a bunch of new art, which will have an announcement later this week when I get back in town. And then also gearing up for a concert for when we hit 800 followers. So slowly but surely, like building out like kind of like a metaverse wing to my like creative uh, universe of sorts. And Remora Labs is that. And if you don't know what a Remora is, I think I need to also explain like what the Remora is, because it actually will make a lot of sense. The Remora is that little fish that sucks onto the bottom of a shark. Sometimes you'll see sharks and they have these little fish that like swim with them. They're like kind of suction cupped to the bottom of the shark. That's what a Remora is. And the Remora and the shark is one of the most beautiful like symbiotic relationships in the ocean, because the agreement that the shark and the Remora have is a really unique one in that the Remora cleans the shark of parasites, and in exchange the shark lets crumbs of food fall out of its mouth so the fish can have something free to eat on the go. So this fish keeps the shark clean of parasites, and the shark in return lets a little bit of its hunt fall off to the wayside so the fish has something to eat. So it's also like a symbol of like community and kind of symbiotic relationships and just like connectivity there. So, and in my mind, many years ago, I wanted to name an album Remora. But then when I found the metaverse and started building, I was like, this is such a cool name to like attach to what I'm doing in the metaverse, because it's such a cool place to build community. So I just think like that whole little the relationship of the Remora and the shark is like a cool reflection of like a relationship that I maybe have with like my community, and like kind of like you pat my back, I pat your back, and like together we're like on this journey and on this trek together. So yeah, Remora Labs is like just that spot in the metaverse right now in Spatial. We do have a location in Crypto Voxels and Proto World, and then who knows? Hopefully when the bag is right, we'll grab a piece of land in Decentraland. But I'm totally open to like collaborating with builders in Decentraland. So if you own a piece of land in Decentraland and you want to like have like an underwater themed like vibe for like a show or something, like please reach out to me, because yeah, I would love to like work with builders in Decentraland and like bring Remora Labs into DCL for a change.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, would love to see Remora Labs in DCL. I know I have offered you Mewland before, but I guess I could also offer you, and if you could work within those limitations, a secret one by one that I just have somewhere in on the Central Land, and that would be like kind of something that you would be able to do, your concept with your build, and kind of try to build it out. Of course, through a one by one, so you may need some help by some coders or some people that know SDK to like go through
And I'm
past the
not that
limitations.
guy, so I would need that help, especially in Decentraland. I also own sharkanthony.dcl, so I have that I could be, I
Oh,
guess, utilizing to build something on. So there's
yeah.
options, but it sounds wild, but I'm just one guy, and it's like everything happens one step at a time. So
Hmm.
Decentraland for Remora Labs is like 100% on the radar, and we're gonna get there. I hope it's this year. But yeah, I know we've spoken in the past. I've spoken to other builders in the space as well. So something's gonna happen soon. We're definitely gonna land on something that like brings little Remo down there into DCL, and I assure you it'll be a banger of an event because yeah, we like to have a good time in the metaverse for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, would love to see more Remora Labs events. Like you, I mean, you yourself, you performed at the mental health awareness, or no, not even awareness, mental health action music festival in the Decentraland. Dude, I have to tell you, awesome performance. You could really feel like, your energy projected into like this virtual world. And yeah, just want to say thank you for, taking the time to do that. And what was, oh, like going in before performing for that for the festival, like what were some thoughts going through your mind? What were some feelings running through?
Well, I knew that, for the last few months, I've been dealing with some. Right now, I'm in between hardware with my MIDI controller. So for like some of my earlier stuff in Essential, and you had seen me with like a launch pad controller and like sitting at my desk with like the mic in front of me and like kind of DJing while doing the vocals. But that piece of hardware of mine has kind of been on the fritz, so I've kind of had to lean more into like a strictly vocal performance, like not really leaning into the DJ stuff. So going into it, it sounds wild, but I knew I needed to be like very animated, like very like move my body a lot, be very active in front of the camera, treat the metaverse performance like I'm in front of a crowd of hundreds, thousands of people. And like I think that's like something that I find that might be unique to me. And this isn't to say that other artists aren't doing something right or wrong, but what I'll notice is a lot of vocal artists when they go in the metaverse, they'll just like kind of sit down and like kind of be at like their webcam. They're kind of like chilling. They're like chilling while they're doing their set, like rapping or singing. And like I want to like when I'm in the metaverse, I want you to feel like you're watching me like from like an IRL event. Like I'm moving my body. I'm very active. I'm like jumping up and down. It's like the same things that I would do at a real concert. And I feel like that's what made that performance like so special for me. Even was just like bringing that like IRL energy into the metaverse. And another thing that like also is like it means a lot to me is like like the DMs I get after like Decentraland is one of the only metaverses that I performed in where like people that actually attend the event will like DM me after like, yo, that was a really cool set. Like you reminded me of this. And like that means so much to me because it's like it really shows that like the community Decentraland is like actually listening to the music. You guys are actually like engaged in the performance. So for me as a performing artist, like the more engaged that I can be, the more I can move my body, the more active I can get, the more I can like wail and belt and like sing that chorus of Into the Metaverse, like really get into my moment and like get into my flow. It's just gonna land way harder with you guys in world. And like it just leads to like those really special DMs after where like now I'm connecting with somebody that I saw in world but didn't really get to know that well. And now we're like building a rapport in the DMs and things like that. So going into it, I just knew that I needed to bring the type of energy that you would get at like an in real life performance, but bring that into the metaverse. And in my opinion, like that was from like a performance standpoint, that was like my best performance in the metaverse as far as like where my vocals were, like how I felt like energetically, even my mood, like my mental state. Like I just felt like so on point for that performance. And I couldn't think of like a better event to have it happen for. I mean, it was an amazing event, 24 hours. I haven't done something like that in like over a year. Like I did a 24-hour event like a year ago, but this one was way better. And yeah, it was just really awesome seeing like all of you out there. And I don't know the exact numbers. I think police was like telling me like it was like over 100 across like multiple rooms, like over 100 people in there. So um, pretty wild. I was joking with my friends. I'm like, man, we pull more we pull more people at these metaverse shows than some of you do at like the dive bar in our city. You know what I mean? So do not sleep on the metaverse. I tell my friends, don't sleep on the metaverse because people show up and they turn up for these events, and there's a lot of bodies in the room. And yeah, it was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the next one. Can't wait.
Yeah, dude. As I mentioned, I enjoyed your performance personally as well. Enjoyed listening to your music. I also enjoyed the vibes, dude. Like, you kind of like started off by saying that like you didn't have the usual setup, but in all honesty, that it was like something new from Shark that I haven't seen before, and I liked the vibes, and black and white and everything too.
Yeah, it was different. It was here's the thing too about the metaverse is we all have our own growing pains in like our real life. Like I'm in the middle of like a move. Like some people might be in the middle of like adjusting to a new job or something. I think like about in the metaverse, you just gotta like be adaptable and work on the fly. Like with that event, I could have like bowed out and been like, nah, I don't have my main piece of gear. I can't do it. And it was like, nah, fuck that. Like I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna find a way to like still present my artistry, still like pull off a sick performance working with what I've got. So sometimes you just got to work with what you've got and like go for it and like and just like and this like power through. And for me, it was so worth it because I got to show like a different side of like my set uh, that some people may have not seen. And there's been a couple, I have been doing like kind of like a residency at like Vroomway the last few months. Like I've done like a show a month at Vroomway. So like for those shows, I have been like kind of rolling with this more vocal forward setup, but not everybody had like seen one of those. So this was kind of leaning into that. But for a lot of people, the last time they maybe had seen me was at the Stronghold, which was one of the sets where I was at my desk with my controller doing the live vocals, the live auto tune, stuff like that. So being able to like bring it more to like the clean, natural vocals and just like me in front of the camera, kind of just like performing to you guys as if you were like an IRL crowd. That might have been different for some people that caught that set from me. So it was cool to like bring that dynamic for a change. And also now, I once I get back up to speed with my hardware, it's like another side. It's like now I can offer like, hey, like, what do you want from me? Like, if someone's gonna book me into Central, I can be like, what do you want? Do you want the more like DJ electronic Shark, or do you want the more like vocal in your face? Like I'm holding the mic, I'm like jumping around, like moshing with myself in my apartment. Like, which side of me do you want? So I feel like this is actually gonna open up just multiple sides to like what I could do in world, and that'll just come down to like me brainstorming with the event coordinator and like what they think will fit best for their build. So it's just about being adaptable and like and being able to like switch things up on the fly and like just roll with the punches. Like I said, like unexpected things happen, but if you really want to be in the metaverse and performing, like you're gonna make it work. You're gonna pull off a sick show regardless. And like that's kind of where I was at. It was like I just got to pull this off and like make it sick regardless. I can't harp on like being down a piece of hardware. Like I still have a lot I'm capable of, and it's just a matter of just going for it. And I did, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm incredibly thankful to like everybody that hits me up to perform at their build or get involved in these events. Like it makes me a better performer too, and it makes me more comfortable with like performing in the metaverse. I know it can be kind of awkward for some artists. There could be some growing pains in there, but for me, it's like every show I get is a learning opportunity, and it just makes me better at what I do. So I'm incredibly thankful to the community for like having me come perform and like being excited to have me be in World, because it makes me a better artist too, and I have a lot of fun performing for you guys. I really do.
Thank you. And I have to ask you, I know you had mentioned you're a Mako shark, but I think you may have you may be part bull too for your adaptability. Did you know that bull sharks are one of the only sharks that can swim in both fresh and salt water?
That is true, and I did know that they'll normally have their young in like the brackish water, which is like where like fresh water and salt water kind of combine. Yeah, and bull sharks are pretty aggressive and pretty dangerous, so you want to be careful around a bull shark. Those are the ones that'll attack you.
Yep,
Those will definitely bite you. Yeah. But I did know
Regardless
that.
if they're hungry or not.
Exactly. But yeah, and they're ugly too. They have like an ugly, snouty little face. Bull sharks are just very creepy, ugly sharks, but we love them.
So I guess I'm just gonna, we've gone over the time. We've had an awesome conversation. I'm very hungry. So I'm just gonna start to wind down the room. And starting with our last speaker left at OX Quan. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh man, enjoyed the space, Shark. Always, man, always a pleasure listening to you. I mean, I think it's definitely important that, everyone pay attention to, kind of where they land with this whole metaverse thing. Like, what is your, what's your goal in this space and stuff. So I appreciate you, coming up and speaking on that. And thank you, Sin, for having me on stage, bro.
No problem, dude. You saved the day by coming up here when I rugged.
Oh, you know how it is. You know how it is, bro.
Yep. Oh, internet. One day we'll live with constant internet all around the world, but until then, we'll just have to make our way through the rugs. Shark Anthony, do you have any final thoughts? And also, where could our listeners find your music and your art?
Any final words? Thankful to you, Sinful, for inviting me on. Thank you to Shelly for also inviting me on. I know Shelly's in the middle of a move, so I want to send out some love to her wherever she is in the world right now. I want to say thank you to everybody that just tuning in to listen. I see so many friends in here: Kanessa, Dr. C, GX, K, Relinda, Jen, M, Remo, Juliana, Death, Opper, and is this Fuckboys? So I appreciate you all tuning in. And where you can find me is sharkanthony.com/links. That's my link tree on my website. So that'll have my NFTs where you can go stream me and stuff like that. But yeah, my name is just Shark Anthony. If you Google it, you'll just find a ton of stuff on me. I'm the only Shark Anthony out there, thankfully. So it's, you don't have to sift through too much stuff. But yeah, I'm on all platforms. And lately I've been the last year been really into Tezos. Just love I love the vibes over there. So have music NFTs on Tezos. I have stuff on OpenSea. And yeah, just connect with me anywhere online, and feel free to follow me. I host a space 3 times a week called the Night Swim. It happens pretty late at night at 11 p.m. Eastern time. But we discuss a lot of stuff about music, AI, art, and the metaverse. It's kind of like a mixed bag. And sometimes we go off on some tangents, but for the most part, we're a really cool, diverse bunch of artists from different corners of the space. And it's a cool late night place where you can come chat with your fellow artists. So everyone's always welcome to come up. We give the mic to anybody that requests it. And yeah, we're just a really cool open bunch. So just come through to a Night Swim and just hang out. And that's what I'll say on that.
Dude, so you mentioned your Tezos collections and stuff like that, and man, I looked through them today and I got FOMO because as you may know, I'm holder of your cross
I do know.
art piece.
And you
so
noticed the
then,
price is different now.
yes, I did. And kind of series that's called Crossing, and I'm just over here oh man, Shark's gonna do it to me. Where's my Tezos?
Please,
how do I get Tezos?
Yeah, please. So yeah, let's just say Simple, you were early to the 1 of 1 Shark, and you got a sick deal on your NFT. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And yeah, man, I mean, you were one of the first people that picked up my 1 of 1s on Tez before this latest batch was minted. So thank you, man, for being early to collecting from me over there. Cause yeah, man, the story has evolved since then, and man, if you DM me, we can find a way to land on what works for both of us. If you really want that piece, man, just DM me and we can figure it out, man. But I do gotta say thank you so much for picking up some of those 1 of 1s, because yeah, visual art means a lot to me, and the 1 of 1 world is totally different than the music NFT world. So when people like you pick up and collect something, you just kind of like give me that like nod of like I'm doing something right. I just got to keep driving that forward. So yeah, appreciate you,
Yeah,
bro. And
dude.
yeah, let me know if you want that piece. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's definitely a nod because, like, from someone like me, it's like that piece ain't going nowhere. Like, Diamond Hand forever going into the ledger
Please
and
do, dude.
bury, No, I won't bury the ledger, but you get it. Thank you so much, Shark, for being here tonight and, just dropping all your knowledge to us. Like I'm kind of it brings a relief to me that I have a friend within the space that has that, like you kind of like mentioned earlier, that there's like the business creative and then there's like kind of like the personal creative side of things, and you kind of like bring both to the table, and you're someone that I can bounce off of, as well as like even learn from.
I appreciate that, man. And like, I'm still learning too. Like, I haven't figured it out, and like, I always have like a very student mindset. Like, I'm always in a mental position to like to learn and like be a student of like I'm a student of the game, and earlier in my life, I did not value my education. I did not value being taught things. I was very hard headed. But as I've gotten older and more reserved in certain areas, I've just become like such a student minded person. And I'm thankful that that part of my life uh, became more forward as like Web3 became more and more prevalent. So I'm still learning. I haven't figured it out, but I'm always around to like bounce ideas off of and just brainstorm and like kind of have those nitty gritty creative conversations with. So like I'm definitely that guy, and I'm always down to talk about this stuff and just navigate the space together. So thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. And just final shout outs for myself. Thank you everyone that's chilling currently at the True Band Room. I know you guys endured the rug, and I really appreciate your patience. And we got it. We got the screen back up. We got the stream back up and everything. Really appreciate your time, and to everyone listening here in the space. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shelly Van will be back next week. And we can get back to our regular Music Matrix broadcast. I just realized in the title I never wrote 13. It's week 13. I just wrote Music Matrix week. Wow, I'm a duck. Anyway, Beyond the NFT tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Our friend OX Kwan will be our guest, and he will be telling us something pretty exciting. For as like in regards to a future event coming up. Thank you, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you all on the metaverse, Web3, and final question for Shark. Do you have one of your spaces tonight? Are you hosting one?
I do, and it'll be a tricky one because I will be driving 6 hours from Georgia to Florida through the night. So I'll be running a Twitter space while I am on the highway. So right now I'm in the DMs trying to find two very, very strong co-hosts to help carry the torch for me as I make it through like this first hour. It's a little bit hairy of my drive. But yes, I'll be live at 11 p.m. tonight. And that is every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. 11 p.m. Eastern, the night swim. So yes, tonight, come through. We'll be a tricky space, but we're gonna pull it off nonetheless. Consistency is key, and I'm trying to keep the consistency going.
So just I guess a thought. Maybe even have one of those one of your friends host a space that's in a like under Wi-Fi or a stable connection. That way, like if you rug, like the space is still going, and then you can come back when you get back into satellite signal.
Yup, and like I messed that up because I had already scheduled this space, and like it already has all the reminders set, so it's like we're gonna have to roll with it as me as the host. And thankfully, there's not too many patchy spots like on my data, like on the way home. So all will be well. It's just gonna be a matter of leaning into my co-host harder than ever, just to like fill in those gaps in conversation because eyes on the road. Of course, that's the first and main thing. But you can still talk while driving. People do it all the time. So it's just be a little bit of a trickier space, but I look forward to it nonetheless. So Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yes, drive safe, Shark, and take care of yourself. And if I will probably most likely be around. I'll pop into your space if I'm around. Take care of yourself, and everyone, take care of yourselves as well. Love you all, and act natural. Back to our natural our natural habitats. For
Love
me, it
it.
would be like a coral reef somewhere.
Me too. Me too.
You're terrorizing the coral reef.
Protecting it, bringing
Oh, it's
balance. Sharks bring
yes,
balance to the underwater ecosystem. So
you're
I won't
right. You're
terrorize
right.
you though, my friend.
Thank you. You're right. Sharks do bring balance. I love that. Take care, everyone, and good night.
See ya.
One, take care of yourselves. Going to raid DJ Spin.